Hi everybody, this is the football head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, and this is another video on the nut house known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha, they're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny part.
So welcome back to the football hub, where we talk about not only just about the New York Giants, but all football, quite frankly. But we also like to goof on the legendary radio station WFAN and some of the things that some of these guys and ladies like to say on the air. Shouldn't be saying this in public, let alone on the air. But we're going to get into this video. We're going to start out a little bit different here. We're going to start on the sane side of how people with some sense of a brain and some sanity and how they reacted to this situation that happened last week with Caleb Williams. I'm recording this video long before the game against USC versus the Oregon Ducks. So just so you have an idea, this will be going up on Sunday. Hope you enjoy it. But I'm going to read you a couple of things. What happened last week in a loss that the USC had to deal with, and their quarterback prospect, Caleb Williams. Headline from CBSSports.com. USC's Caleb Williams hopes viral video of him crying helps spread awareness for mental health. Williams was wearing his emotion on his sleeve after a tough loss to Washington. USC's loss to Washington last weekend was an emotional one for Trojans quarterback Caleb Williams. Following the 52-42 loss to the Huskies, Williams found his mother in the stands and cried as she comforted him. That moment has garnered a lot of attention over the last week, and Williams hoped that it had a positive impact on others. On Wednesday, Williams spoke to reporters and said he's an advocate for mental health and wanted to be his authentic self. Me doing just what I did on Saturday, even though it was far from what I was trying to do or anything like that, it showed and spread that awareness that I may talk about when I don't have tears in my eyes. Williams said per USCFootball.com. It just shows truth and what I speak. Being authentic is important. Now, I would mention, he's going to his mother. You know, what's your mother going to do? She's going to dry your eyes, right? Williams also noted the loss really stung because of how badly he wanted to get a big win for his teammates. Quote, "That's who I am," Williams said. "That's just simply who I am. That was raw emotion, being human, being myself, someone that cares about this team, these guys, and win especially." Even in the loss, Williams turned in a superb effort. He threw for 312 yards and 3 touchdowns while adding 16 yards and a touchdown on the ground. This weekend, Williams and the Trojans have an excellent shot to bounce back by going up against and trying to beat the number 6 Oregon Ducks. And we'll have some kind of video on that probably on Sunday. So as I was saying, we have a lot of reactions from some of the normies around the NFL and really around just sports in general. Here's from FoxNews.com. Ex-NFL star Donovan McNabb defends Caleb Williams' emotion. Quote, "I didn't have a problem with it." Not only didn't he have a problem with it, but former Giants linebacker Carl Banks didn't have a problem with it either. I'm sort of paraphrasing what he tweeted out. You don't know what happens in these locker rooms. There are other things that happen in the locker rooms. I guess a lot of crying, a lot of screaming and cursing and everything else after bad losses. Williams sobbed alongside his family following USC's loss to Washington. The sports world clearly has different opinions on Caleb Williams getting emotional on Saturday night. After his USC Trojans lost a high-scoring affair to Washington over the weekend, Williams jumped into the stands and shed tears alongside members of his family. The viral moment prompted criticism of Williams, and we'll get into the criticism at the end of this video. The defending Heisman Trophy winner and a candidate to become the first overall selection in next year's NFL draft. Now, he is supposedly, along with Drake May, are going to be number 1 and 2. And these guys are generational quarterbacks, quote-unquote. Right now, we have the Giants at number 3. I believe the Giants are not going to win any more games this season. But they are sort of competing with the Bears. I think the Cardinals for the top 3 picks. The Giants need to get a number 1 or 2 pick. And that's what this whole kerfluffle with these lightweights at the fan started mocking Williams. Some critics argued the moment with his family could hurt his draft stock. But that notion is preposterous, says Donovan McNabb. I think so too. The 6-time Pro Bowler said on his podcast, The 5 Spot, that there was nothing wrong with Williams getting emotional following the 52-42 loss. He even goes as far as to hint at hypocrisy out of football fans. To me personally, we want our players to be vulnerable. We want our players to be upfront. We want our players to show emotion. When they do show emotion, now they become targets for everyone to now start throwing darts at them because they are emotional. As they call them, super sensitive, McNabb said. The Philadelphia Eagles great said it maybe could have been a moment that happened in private, but it is what it is. McNabb also shut down any takes that the moment should hurt his draft. I wouldn't think so. What he does in between, that's outside the lines. That's just inside the lines. That's the deal. What happened? It was after, he wasn't crying during the game. He was crying after the game. Quote, I didn't have a problem with it. People are talking about it should hurt his draft status, which it should not hurt his draft status, because on the field, he's one of the best players in the college football. He's a leader, he prepares well, and he's out there playing from the pocket and outside the pocket where he's a premier talent. In the game, Williams went 27 for 35 for 312 yards and 3 touchdowns, but it wasn't enough because the Trojans' defense allowed 52 points and 256 yards and 4 touchdowns to Huskies running back Dylan Johnson. So it's not his fault. The loss knocked USC out of the Pac-12 title picture. USC is going to be traveling, and they're going to be playing the Oregon Ducks this weekend. And the Ducks are a 2-touchdown favorite. And here we go. This is how they look at things in the nervous hospital known as WFAN. And this is really a comment from a couple of lightweights. Jerry Recca, who's basically the update guy, and Al Dukes. Al Dukes is basically a guy he is the producer of the morning show of Boomer and Gio, as I like to call them, Norman and Greg. And really, he's just a weird kind of, he creates all these weird songs that they don't think it's hysterically funny, but it's all cringe. And he sings all this stuff. It's like nails on a chalkboard. Here's from OvertimeHeroics.net. After transferring to USC and winning the Heisman in 2022, Caleb Williams quickly shut up NFL draft boards and established himself as the top quarterback prospect in the nation, along with, like I said, Drake May. In 23, he followed up his Heisman campaign with yet another impressive season. However, USC has lost 3 of their last games, and the way Williams has handled those losses has garnered the attention of some, including WFAN sports radio lightweight host Al Dukes. He's not really a host. I think they do this pre-show before, you're basically getting up from being asleep. You're going to listen to them. That'll put you to sleep again. Williams has failed to keep his emotions in check to the point that he was seen crying after USC's most recent loss to Washington, and Dukes thinks Williams' inability to keep his composure is why he wouldn't be cut out to be the next quarterback of the New York Giants, who will likely have a top pick in the draft and could be in a market for a new quarterback. Quote, he ain't gonna make it here, Dukes said. Guy crying in. Not interested. He went on to add, the lights get brighter for athletes in New York. Wait, don't say that, Dukes, Al. Especially when you're a quarterback and top draft pick who's expected to restore and carry the franchise. While Williams may have all the talent in the world, Dukes feels as though he lacks the mentality to make it in New York. Giants quarterback Daniel Jones tore his ACL in the team's Week 9 loss to the Las Vegas Raiders, bringing the Giants to a 2-7 record in 2023. The Giants gave Jones a 4-year, $160 million contract extension this past offseason, but have a potential out in 25. With that in mind, it's not far-fetched to think the Giants could look to select a new quarterback and move on from Jones. Dukes just hopes it's someone other than Williams. Well, he can have his opinion. He don't know what the future is. But who knows? And that's not a bad thing. All we ever complain about here, a lot of these guys, is that the athletes don't care. He's the opposite. He cares too much. This is not a situation where, he can't take criticism. Who knows if he can take criticism? But because he cries after a game, there are a lot of players that cry after games. And a lot of the people at WFAN cry when they lose their money, when they make their bad gambling wages. I know that. That's why a lot of them get. And I only say that because Greg Giannotti has mentioned several times on the air how many times those at WFAN gamble like crazy. It's him. So if I bring up this gambling stuff and all the money that they're wagering between themselves and whatever online stuff with their phones and everything, I learned that from your friend, your boss, Greg. Al. But again, nobody knows how Williams is going to take and deal with pressure here or any team. Just because he's trying after a game, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But does he do everything great inside the lines? Yes. So we'll have to find out. And this is another. You only get this kind of insanity from WFAN. This sort of logic. And this is another episode of the mental ward known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha. To the funny farm.